What's up, guys, and welcome back to a long-awaited video. And yeah, so I still need to get my computer fixed, which is why I don't vlog it often, because my Mac is like outdated and there's a whole bunch, it needs a room, I need a new computer, but Macs are expensive. So I digress. So today I just wanted to do a quick get ready video because I'm getting ready to go run some errands and then also go to a birthday party, and I just wanted to do my makeup on camera, and I finally figured out a way to do it in the bathroom with my light, with my camera. So I'm gonna do this thing here, and then also just kind of talk about like kind of what's going on in my life. So I'm gonna get started. I am not, a professional makeup artist. All I do is what I feel is best and what I like. So that's what I'm gonna do. Anyway, with that being said, as I start doing my makeup, I found out some really devastating news yesterday that kind of really hurt. It kind of broke my heart a lot of it. I was gonna say a little bit, but a lot of it. And so I decided that I'm the kind of person that makes, like, I like to do stuff, and I think it's all, I don't know if it's all women or all people, but I'm just the kind of person, like, when something is bothering me, I'll do stuff. Like, I just want to make, I want to say rash decisions, but I don't make like outlandishly bad decisions. So like if something's like, I was frustrated, I got my smiley pierced. I was sad, I got my tongue pierced. I do stuff like that, that is like, it's something big in the moment, but it's not something that will damage or tarnish, or you know what I'm saying. Like, I just do kind of small things, and because in reality I want to do like big things. Like, I've been wanting to dye my hair a different color for the longest, but I'm just like, I don't know what color I want to dye it. And then I also don't want to keep dyeing my hair, so I haven't done that. Am I the only person that cannot talk and do my eyebrows at the same time? And I feel like anyone who can, you are blessed. So with that being said, with the bad news that I got yesterday, I decided that I want to move. I'm moving. And it's a it's not just a, oh, I want to move. It's like, I want to move within the next 3 weeks. So I am going to commit to actually vlogging this process because of the fact of how not necessarily rash, but because of how crazy this idea is. So yesterday, like I said, was the day that I got, the bad news or whatever. And so basically I was told that I would, by the doctor, because I do believe in God, I do believe in Jesus Christ. And so he has the final say. And so even in the midst of God having the final say, when a doctor or a man tells you something, it does still sting. So I don't want it to be like, oh, I don't have faith. I still have faith. But you also got to remember, with my faith, I'm still human. So I was told I was never be able to have kids, bear my own children, because of the way my anatomy is. So Backstory on that. I was born with a health condition called Herschbaums disease. And yes, that's a big word. I've learned how to spell it over the years, over my 30 years of living. But Herschsprungs is Hirschsprungs. It's named after a German man, something something Hirschsprung, whatever. But basically, when baby's born with Herschbaums disease, when in utero, you know, everything forms, and then your digestive tract is, you know, blah 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 blah, or zigzag. Being born with Herschsprungs, different babies have different things. So in my case, when it got down to like the rectum and kind of like that, I think it's the colon, the sigmoid or something like that, or whatever it is closer to the rectum, those cells died, or they never formed, the ganglion colon cells. So if you think about when you eat in your digestive, like you have these things, like they're like filler, they're like, I guess it's called filler or something like that, but it's what moves everything through your body. So your stomach, then it goes to your large intestine, then it goes to your small intestine, right? So these things, it helps it move. So in kids born with Herschbaums disease, that moves, it doesn't, like I said, it either dies or it just is not there, it doesn't work, right? And it's different levels. You have total colon, meaning that their entire intestines just does not work. You have half colon, semicolon, like you have just different variations. Luckily, by the grace of God, I didn't have the worst case scenario, but at the same time, back in the 90s, this was a disease that was more genetically known for white males. So I hit the double whammy being a black female. And so they didn't know too much about, they knew about the disease, but not less, I guess, how it would affect women, right? Or a black woman. So I had surgery after surgery after surgery, fixing my colon and my rectum and the ability to use the restroom and, you know, kind of have a normal digestive system. I guess what they say is normal, and things of that nature. So all the surgeries that I've had, when I hit puberty and then my menstrual started, we didn't know until then, till when I was 11, or in the menstrual cycle of my life, we didn't know until that cycle of my life came about, that when they had surgery when I had surgery in the past, that the surgeons nicked like my fallopian tube. So as soon as I started to have my periods, we didn't know that I was like having cysts because my fallopian tube was damaged. So the egg was releasing, and instead of just going through and passing just period, just blah blah blah, it was getting stuck. And then cysts were forming, and it wasn't until I was in the 9th grade that I ended up having a period for like 45 days. It was a long time. And so I was tired, you know, I needed a B12 shot. So my mom took me to the doctor, and they was like, let's do a CAT scan, because like, why is she bleeding for so long? And that's when they found a 20 centimeter cyst. I don't know how big that is, but 20 centimeters, it's big. Sitting on my, sitting in my abdomen, on my, I think it was my ovary. I think it was my right ovary. And so I had to have surgery. My family thought that I was going to have the hysterectomy. They was like, you know, they thought about like, do we need to freeze her eggs? Like, as a family come together, raise money to freeze her eggs. And, you know, like, so she can have kids, you know, in the future. And so the doctor was like, oh no, you know, she'll be fine. We removed it, big scar, big surgery, blah, blah. So then years later, like every few years after that, there was problems with cysts. Like they would come, and I never was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, because it wasn't that. It was just, I continuously got cysts. And if that makes sense, so like my periods were still coming. I've never had facial hair. You know, I never went without periods. My periods were very regular. So it didn't match up with said disorder. So like I said, surgery after surgery. So then in 2014, I got really, really sick. I was in the hospital for 30 days. and they said that I had to have, they were trying to drain the cyst, because before they did a procedure to drain the cyst, and they were trying to do that, but they weren't able to. So at the last minute, they was like, okay, you're just gonna have to have surgery. In the surgery, they went in and found that the cyst was adhered to my right fallopian tube and ovary, and they weren't able to separate it. So I lost my right fallopian tube and some of my ovary. So what was told to me in 2014, what I ended up doing, so what I was told in 2014 was that your chances of conceiving naturally slim to none. You're gonna have to have IVF and go that way. Like, we're gonna have to go in and get your eggs that way. That's all. That was what I was always told. I always knew that IVF was going to be something that I was going to have to do. So with that, you know, I end up having that was 2014. I still had problems where their pain would come about, and then in 2018 I ended up having another cyst that was to the point of pain, and I had to have surgery. That was laparoscopic. He didn't say anything about fertility, or I don't remember what he said about fertility, but that was, again, I always knew you just gonna have to do IVF. So now fast forward to 2021. Back in June, I had this really bad, like, abdominal pain. It was taking me out. And I was just like, you know what? I know what it is, but I was just like, I really didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with it, because I just didn't. So I said that I was going to go to I was like, I finally gave up and said I'm gonna go to the hospital. So I went to the emergency room, and while in there, they did a CT scan. They did all the imaging, and it was like, oh yeah, you got a cyst. It's like 6. You have, I think it was like 3 cysts. One was 6 centimeters by 6, I think, and then the other ones were like 2 small ones. They were like 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters. And so at that point, they was like, oh, you know, there's a chance that we might have to rush you into surgery to try and remove them. But then when they looked at everything else, that's when they was like, yeah, you've kind of had a lot of surgeries, and you have a colon problem, and we don't want you to end up with like a colostomy bag, right? So I was just like, okay, well, you know, are you guys gonna help me, or what's the game plan? They didn't do anything. They ran a whole bunch of tests and told me I was on my own and I needed to, you know, figure it out. Basically, is what the man said. He was like, get you a GYN, figure it out. So I got me a GYN. She was just like, yep, you need to go to a gynecologist. And so I went to the she was like, I can't do anything for you. Go to a oncologist. So I did that. He was like, it's nothing I can do for you. He actually told me that I had some sort of disease. I forgot what it was, but it was like something that was treatable with a medication, and proceeded to tell me to go get the shot. And I was just like, but I know I don't have this. Only for him to have almost given me a shot that I was allergic to, because I'm allergic to penicillin. And so it was literally the nurse that caught it. And I was just like, yeah, I'm never going to you again. So I'm not taking it. So I finally found a doc. So I ended up finding this one doctor, and he was, you know, really hard to get an appointment with him because of his specialty. He specialized in, he was in fertility and fertility and endometriosis. So I get to him, And, you know, the first thing he told me was like, you're not crazy. I know your pain is real. And he was very, very, very informative. Like the very first appointment was literally like 3.5 hours because of how well he wants you to understand it, and how he explains that a lot of GYNs don't technically, they know about endometriosis, but they don't really know, because you have to learn so much, so they don't have the time to like dig deep into each and every disease of the female body. But because he specialized, that's what he does. So he was literally like the first doctor recently that was listening. So yeah, he was really literally like the first doctor who was listening. So I was just like, okay, cool. So he was like, all right, this is the game plan. When I tell you, that man had me on like a game plan of all what we were going to do. So I met him, my first appointment with him was in July. The whole entire month of August, I had doctor's appointment after medical procedure after medical procedure after medical procedure after doctor's appointment. Like the whole month of August, I wasn't doing anything but going to doctor's visits. And so with all those appointments, we were in preparation for me to have surgery. I had surgery in September. And so afterwards, he was making sure he was very thorough. I mean, every test, like he wanted to see everything. He wanted to have everything. So now we have the surgery. Surgery is in September. It's a laparoscopic procedure. My boyfriend came down. He was with me. Surgery was about 3 hours. Yeah, about 3 hours. Come out, go home, heal. And so this past Friday, yesterday, I had my post-op appointment. And so in the post-op appointment is where he was like, okay, so we went through the results of everything. And so he was just like, basically, he started off explaining to me how women's anatomy, how our bodies are supposed to look when it comes to our uterus and our intestines, and and just all of how everything is supposed to be shaped, right? So he was like, this is how it's supposed to be, yet this is how yours is. Your colon, your intestines are, one, they're adhered to your uterus, and then also they're entangled in 4 loops on the, I think it's the left side of my body. So he was like, and then with them in loop like that, they're kind of, because of scar tissue from previous surgeries, they're adhered. So like my intestines are solidified. They're solidified in the point of they don't move. So like a normal one, you can move, like they are the way it looks in books and all that stuff. Mine doesn't look like that. So he was just like, you have a lot of scar tissue that we can't remove because it's just going to create more scar tissue. He was like, you had a few lesions that were like pulling, like he was just like, there was a lesion or a scar tissue that was pulling my liver, like literally like this. So instead of my liver sitting the way it was supposed to, it was pulled up like that. So he was like, we took that and released it. And I actually have pictures of that. But he was just like, so your anatomy is not correct. And he said, with that being said, you know, the way because your right ovary is spliced, it's not fully there. This is what, we couldn't see your left ovary or your left fallopian tube. He was like, we visually could not see it because of how your intestines are hovering over your reproductive organs. He said, so when we drew your blood and we did, we tested for this one hormone which tells you, I think it's AMH, and it tells you your egg quantity. And so he was like, it's supposed to be, what's normal range is 3 or higher. He said, I think it was like 3.5 or 3.75 or higher is what is normal, meaning that you have your, you have a lot of eggs and we're good to go. He said, when we tested you, he did it a couple of times. He was like, because that's something that he can always just test and see. So he did it a few times. He said, but the last time he did it from surgery, my levels was at a 0.018, which means that my eggs are depleting, if not depleted. So he was just like, so that's one. So you would have to do, a egg donor. So I'm like, okay, cool. At least you're saying I can bear my own kids. I just need to have a donor egg. All right. That's disheartening, but okay, cool. I can deal with that in comparison. But then he says, but I would also suggest and recommend surrogacy. Gestational carrier is what they call it. He said, because of how your intestines are, if you were to carry your own child, we would come across, there would be 3 things that we would be afraid about. He said the first one, in the event that you were to get an egg donor, use your boyfriend's sperm, create an embryo, it successfully attaches, you're pregnant. He said the first problem that we're going to run into is that you would have, would be the fact that your intestines are adhered to your uterus. So as your stomach grows, your uterus grows and stretches, there's a chance that your intestines could rip apart from your uterus. That could be problems either on your intestines, your uterus, or your child, or you. He said, now, if that doesn't happen, the second thing would be you're getting bigger, your stomach, and even in normal pregnancy, the stomach suppresses, the fetus suppresses the bowel, but you have Herschbaums disease. So if you were to get a bowel obstruction, we wouldn't be able to go in and fix it because of your anatomy. It's not the way it's normally supposed, it's not the way it's supposed to be. That would be the first one. The second one, he said, however, in the event that you get through problem one, and you make it through problem 2, and they don't occur. He said, the next problem would be, how do we deliver the baby? He said, because you can't deliver vaginally because of the previous surgeries I've had dealing with my colon. You can't push, and you've got your colon and rectum are surgically fixed and cut in stitches and stuff. So I can't deliver vaginally. He said, then C-section, how we get the baby out, cutting your abdomen to your uterus when your intestine is adhered to your uterus. So, per doctor's words, dang, that highlight came through. So, per doctor's words, if I were to, so it would be best, or it's not would be best, I wouldn't be able to have, I wouldn't be able to bear the kids, my children. If I did, it would be a very, very high risk pregnancy to the point where it could either lose me or the baby, or me and the baby. So that's the news that I got. And I've always wanted to have kids. It's one of the things that I just felt like it's something I've always wanted. Not everybody wants that, and that is fine, but I wanted it, and I wanted to bear my own kids. God has the final say, and I serve a God of miracle, a miracle working God, a God of miracles, signs, and wonders. And so I still have faith. With the faith, I'm still devastated. And I'm going to allow myself to have my feelings for a day or two, maybe a week, however long it takes. And then I'm going to move forward. But even in the midst of my devastation, I'm trusting God and believing that He has the final say. But like I said, I am human and I do have feelings, and that broke my heart. So I woke up this morning. Well, yeah, I woke up this morning, and I usually wake up and take like a mid-morning after wake up nap. Don't ask why, it's just something that I do. I like my naps. You know what? I was laying down and I was like, I had that feeling again of wanting to do something. I wanted to do something. And I said, you know what? I want to move. I want to move back home, and I want to move back home right now. So I woke up and I got started on it. So I put in an application for the apartment that I was already looking at. I talked to my leasing office here. And I'm just kind of waiting for the approval for the new apartment, and then everything is in motion. So I want to bring you guys along on this kind of quick journey, and at some point in time it'll be another journey into motherhood, however God sees fit to bless me with that. But okay, so I'm all done, getting ready to head out to a family function and enjoy my family for a little bit. But thanks for watching, and just come along on this journey. I don't know where it's going to lead. I don't know what home has in store. I haven't been back home in over 6 years. I haven't lived home in over 6 years. So yeah, but make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.